What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Wednesday, August 5th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Odds Headquarters. Let's get to work. Another nice day yesterday. Very close to a giant day yesterday. We ended up 7-5 plus 1.43 units. Pushed that Canucks -1 at plus 207 very late. Which would have been a big day changer. An ugly day in NBA, 0-2, 2.30 units. A huge day in MLB, 6-3 plus 2.50 units, and then 1-0-1 plus 1.23 units in NHL, which we'll take. We'll take any day in the black we'll take, but it could have been a huge day, and I'm pumped up. We have 28 games to break down. My job is to break down these 16 MLB games, and I'm running hot in MLB. Now hit 60%. I'm 30 wins and 20 losses, up 8.36 units. ROI plus 16.72%. Average line minus 108. And then Babano's going to join us to break down this NBA card and NHL card. When we are all said and done, all 28 games will be capped and locked in. I've not made a lot of bets so far today. Only in NHL and in MLB. And only one game in MLB I've doubled up on. So lots of work still to do, lots of decisions still to make. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Viper and B in the house. There's Buzznuts. Yenny Toon ready to get to work. Beautiful. Yenny Toon, love it. Trey Franklin. Look at Trey Eaton last night. I love it. Gerald Martinez, Leo Leon. Kes Olamu in the house. Michael Ervalina, 6-0 since NHL started. Nice work, Michael Ervalina. Mark Rosado in the house. TJ says, I'm out cold. Help me out, Jimmy. You're in the right place. Dennis Garcia says, bye, Florida. That game's popping off right now, and I'm not going to make a move on it. Defense is so important. I mean, any kind of hole you have in your hockey team is so important in a series of any kind, whether it be 5 games or 7 games. And Ekblad never became the defenseman that we thought he would. He's no Victor Hedman. He's not able to anchor that defense that's soft and slow and offensive. But Panthers' backs are against the wall, and they missed Trocheck badly. He's on the Hurricanes, where all my futures are tied into. But Barkov has heart, and I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave that game alone. But I have locked in plus units, plus spots on the NHL card. We will talk about that when we're joined by the great Babano. There's Dennis Garcia in the chat. Dennis Garcia's article is up right now on odds.com. I will throw that over to you guys before the show ends. But Dennis Garcia's looks at Saratoga and Indiana Grand are up. There's Razor Sharp Picks in the house. Razor Sharp Picks has a video also on this Odds HQ YouTube page. He's part of Odds Squad, and he's got a big total that he's making a move on. I will put that link before the show ends as well. There's Connor McLaughlin in the house. Antoine Seymour. There's Clint, started Die Hard MMA podcast. Captain Marvel. Walla Walla Dose. Tim Montana BX. Jonathan Cardon. William McInnes. Walla Walla Dose 3-0 MLB start. Let's keep it rolling. Nice. Yes, it's going very well. It's going very well. There's Michael DeMaria in the house this Saturday. This Saturday, we're doing a full day of horses celebrating Travers Stakes Day. It's going to be very, very enjoyable. At least 8 hours of hardcore thoroughbred smashing. Michael DeMaria will be there. Razor Sharp Picks will be there. Connor McLaughlin will be there. And Dennis Garcia, of course, will be in the chat. There's Flick My Bick in the house. Look at our guy, Flick My Bick, says, can't stand Twitter. But I had to get here one way or another. Love you, Flick My Bick. Thank you so much for joining us. There's Jared Schrader off a 5-1 day. Love seeing that, Jared Schrader. He's on Islanders money line over 5 and Nashville money line. Yes, and that's a look that Babano does with great success in these games, knockout games in playoff series. When he sees a 5, he smashes it every single time, and he's doing that. He's on the over 5 as well. There's Nilo in the house, Ron Lofton, Derek Z, Christopher Comentini, Reese, Pedro Barbosa in the house, Dav Fenn. So nothing from me in the Islanders-Panthers. There's Danny Moore. There's Schaff, ready to get to work. Well, let's get right to work. We've got a lot of work to do. There's Mark Unkefer. And yes, Danilo tailed me on the Habs under, but I didn't take it at 5.5. No, sir. 4.5 at plus 195 for me. 4.5 for me. There's the Woj in the house at DX Filer, Cynthia Paniagua, Brian Warner. Time to get to work. And look at our guy, Razor Sharp says, another 3K trifecta is calling our names. It usually calls your name, Razor. You are incredible. Incredible thoroughbred handicapper, but I love it. And I'll be right there to watch you cash your 3K tries. All right, Antonio Garcia took Panthers plus 110. We're going to see if the Panthers have any heart. There's Paco Healy, San Diego's finest. Also a first responder whom we love dearly and is looking after us. There's Ron Crawford. Paco Healy, it's okay. It's okay. Still went 6-3 plus 2.50 units in MLB yesterday. Dinelson Lamet was spectacular. 5 2/3. We were lucky to get that close. If it wasn't for Harris, we wouldn't have got that close. So I'm okay with it. Antonio Garcia loving the Spurs +5. There's Jerry Beatty in the house. Great to see you, Jerry. Fire Stick Master, NHL Chicago over. I mean, it's staring us all in the face, Fire Stick. The over 6.5, screaming our name. But I don't generally take those types of plays, and I should. And when I first came down south and started doing this full time in front of you guys, I was afraid of 6.5s. And I would never take over 6.5s ever. There's Scooty and Ricky Butt channel. No, we are not doing the evening shows right now, but we're in talks of adding a couple. All right, Gerardo Hernan is in the house. And right now, yes, the only bets I've made, TJ, are the Rays, the under 4.5 alternative line for the total in the Habs-Pens game at plus 195. And I took the Predators again at -1. Because we talked, okay, we're going to get in hockey. Let's get firing out here because we're going to be joined in 42 minutes. 42 minutes by the great Babano. And we need to be finished baseball. Let's go. 16 MLB games, 2 doubleheaders, and are the lines out? We've been waiting for them all day. Let's move over there. Wheeler Hap, we have lines for game 1. And then Nola Montgomery, so lines for game 2. Let's get after this right now. We're going to start with game 1. We're going to do both games of the Yankees doubleheader, and we'll go to RotoWire. I'm sure that we're not going to get any confirmed lineups at this point. But these doubleheaders make me uncomfortable, especially in a very short. Jay Yim says big balls play with the Habs total. Yeah, Jay Yim, man. Big balls played the Habs under 1.5 goals last game at plus 190. Not scared. Brian Warner says, yeah, you're not screwed you last minute. Yeah, it was, it was a push. It was upsetting. Yeah, Canucks won. That the top 6 forwards had about 20 shots on goal. Exactly what I said was going to happen after being held to 5 shots, and I don't get the big payday. And that's the cruel mistress that is handicapping. All right, let's talk about this first spot game. Phillies, Yankees, 84 Fahrenheit clear, 7 miles per hour, sideways, slightly in. And quickly, let's go over what happened yesterday. Just because I can tell you 6-3, 2.50, up 2.50 units, but it's probably better for us just to go over everything for the transparency and honesty. Although you can see that all on my Twitter account. Bieber over 7.5 Ks. You got 8. Getting a little closer. Nationals first 5 -0.5. Nationals full game -1 cash. Orioles -120 was a loser. White Sox Milwaukee first 5 under 4.5 cash. Rockies first 5 -0.5 -140 cash. Rockies full game -1 cash. And at that point, I'm sitting at 6-1 yesterday. At that point, I'm 11 out of my last 13. And then, you start feeling good about yourself. And Houston, Arizona first 5 under 5.5 was a loser. And LA, San Diego over 8 was a loser. All right, let's go. Leo Leon says, when's Bag City merchandise? There's Ian Cameron right now. And just seeing him makes me think that I need to rush. I need to rush. Top Set up 24 units this year. Nice job. 24 units. I'm up 8.36 units. And I'm just lavishing in that. Okay, let's fire away. So this first start is not Nola Montgomery. They're moving that to the second game. So we're getting Wheeler Happ. So let's move over to that second game. Happ has started one game this year, 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 Ks, 2 walks. Last year he went 12-8 with 4.91 ERA, 1.30 WHIP. He came on in the second half of the year. He looked bad early in the year. Wheeler came from the birth of his child in his first start and was great on no sleep. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 4 Ks, 2 walks. He signed the big contract in the offseason after a 3.96 ERA, 1.26 WHIP season with the Metropolitans. Phillies versus lefties have a ton of power, but aren't hitting for average. 902 OPS, 192 average. Yankees versus righties, 257, 868 OPS. The Yankees take a 7-game winning streak into this doubleheader. The Phillies overall are batting poorly, although they're hitting with some power, and the relievers are pitching to a 6.75 ERA. They look awful. Happ, 5-0 with a 1.45 ERA and 5 career starts against the Phillies. I'd sure love to see a lineup at this point. Much love, Antoine Seymour. My guy, Antoine Seymour, in the house. I would sure love to. And look, we're getting a light line. It's a minus 135 at bet 365. You have to feel – so all these teams who haven't been playing – because of these breaks from COVID, other than the Marlins. So I shouldn't say all these teams. But it feels like it's not easy to get it started again. And this Yankees team at minus 135, I don't understand how you don't back them. I guess because your fear of Weaver and they have a pitching advantage. I don't like betting doubleheaders. I'm running hot right now. Conor McGraw says past doubleheaders, even more there, 7 innings. Yeah, it's it's not something I want to be a part of. And we don't have lineups out right now, and we are making such strong decisions of late, decisions that we believe in. And I'm not going to make a move. There's Depot Caps in the house. Toronto, Orlando, over 223. Orlando, 15 straight overs right now? Celtics minus 8, Boston, Tampa over 8.5, and dog of the day, Rangers first 5. That's from our Depot Caps. Respect. And Conor McGraw said, is it a short line? I guess, I don't know. With Yankees are 8-1 right now. Whenever you can get them under minus 140, it's probably something to do. But again, can Zach go to full 7? Yes. Can J.A. Happ get touched with the Phillies bats who we know have power against lefties? Yes. Okay, let's just move on. Let's get the other doubleheader out of the way. Let's see if we have a line on it. The next doubleheader is a 7-inning doubleheader. Hernandez versus Cobb. Total down to 7 right now. And money coming in on the Orioles. And what the Marlins did yesterday, very impressive. And it's the same thing that the Brooklyn Nets did. And it's a mistake when we don't recognize how teams come together in the face of adversity. Some teams. We'll see if the Panthers can do that right now. But that's what the Marlins did, and that's what the Nets did with their backup players. So they have heart. Now, let's take a look at who is not in the lineup for these Marlins. Garrett Cooper, Jorge Alfaro, Miguel Rojas, Harold Ramirez, and then pitchers Alcantara, Urena, and Caleb Smith. Viper MB says, never bet trash. You know me, Vipe. I bet trash. And Alex Cobb had 2 tough starts to start the year, and Debo saying most of the Marlins lineup still intact. I would like the Marlins to do this again. Claudio, yes, I've made 2 moves in MLB, both on the Rays. First 5 in full game, first guy 5 minus half, full game minus 1. I took the under 4.5 at plus 195 in the Habs Pens game, and I took the Predators minus 1. Okay, so with all that said and done, I am going to bet on trash, right? And I know it cost me yesterday. We'll see if it costs me again. I'm going to take the Orioles to win this ballgame. The second game, it's Wojciechowski. We don't know who's pitching for the Marlins. Yes, I'm going to take the Orioles. Okay, let's go. Now we have 12 games. I love you, Vipe. I love you, buddy. Brandon Lugo, I'm happy to hear that. And that's Brandon Lugo says, thanks, Jimmy. Your Brooklyn Nets breakdown made me some nice cash. Robert Kahn says Marlins are a better team. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. In a normal, regular circumstance, they are. I don't see this as being a regular circumstance. There's Trey Franklin in the house. I agree with you, Robert Kahn. That's Brandon Lugo. Brandon Lugo's point is so important. And this is we had so many lessons from the great Peter Loshak, the legend Lotus Loshak. And one is listening. And there have been so many days at the track when I go with friends when I'll break down a race and somebody at their table is going to cash big, and it's not me because they're listening. They hear something that connects with them, and then they go make a move. There's Sean Bird in the house. Kevin Limebeer back in action. Great to see you, Kev. And Mr. Gogue just said the Canucks played great. They did play well. But that first period scared me, man. When you miss those opportunities, miss those power plays, I felt like it was not going to go our way. But nice. Okay, let's get to work. There's Chris Blanchard in the house. Mets Nationals here. Okay, we got 12 games to break down, 33 minutes to do them. So we get about 2.5 minutes a game. We can spend more on some games. We talk about Porcello. He's been in the league a long time, and we've seen him be a Cy Young winner, and we've seen him like last year, 5.52 ERA and trash on a good ball club. He started 2 games so far this year. The first game, he couldn't get through the second inning. He looked a little better in the next game. And if I could have got on this Scherzer line early, maybe I take it. It opened up minus 192, bet 365. It's now minus 225. Maybe I take it. But I expect Porcello to pitch better. I expect him to pitch better. Porcello and Scherzer started their careers together on the Tigers, and I expect him to pitch better. There's Ryan Bain in the house. Great to see you, Ryan. There's AB ready to get to work. So I'm not going to take – look, I doubled up on the Nationals yesterday, first 5 full game, and I was bullish about it. And every single time the Nationals face a lefty this year, we bet them. And we're going to keep cashing. But against righties, it's a different story. 205, 589 OPS. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Ryan. Let's keep it rolling. Mets versus righties hitting 269, 716 OPS. Look, I'm not going to take the Mets. Sean Bird says Nats game under first 5 if you feel that way. Sean Bird, you're absolutely right. That does make sense. Let's see what we get for that. Under 4.5 of plus money. Was it a 5 ever? Sean Bird, that makes excellent sense. See, we are a team here. I needed to hear that. It was never 5. Money coming in on the over because Porcello's trash. The king in the house. What up? Anthony Cerro ready to get to work. I like it. I like that. I like it, Sean. That's how I feel. Yes, Kevin Limebeer right now. I'm about to make one, thanks to Sean. But yes, I'm on the under 4.5 alternative line in NHL plus 195 Habs Pens. Prophet says maybe wait and see if the Mets can hold the Nats for 2 innings and get a better money line with the Nats. Yes, I'm concerned about that, TJ. I was watching that happen. I watched it happen this morning. I think Yarbrough gets the job done. It's that simple. I think Yarbrough gets the job done. All right, I'm in. I think Porcello steps up. God, I wish there was but I mean, it's a Scherzer situation. Yeah, I'm in. First 5 under 4.5. You know what? I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to revisit again because I don't want to sit here. Slats 45. No, there's not concern. And let's talk about that. We're going to talk about that game. It's next. Okay, perfect. It's next. No, look, yeah, they're not hitting lefties. 217, 689 OPS. They haven't had Meadows. Meadows is back. And look at this Red Sox team that I'm up against. They only hit lefties. They don't hit righties. So when Yarbrough gets any kind of trouble, Cash is going to have a string of righties ready to go. And Yarbrough is a beast. Yarbrough always pitches the Red Sox tough. Last year, he's a whip of 1. He had 20 walks and 141 2/3. We are getting this opportunity because of those stats. Money's coming in on the Red Sox. And look, I know who Martin Perez is. There's a reason why the Twins didn't want him, and the Texas Rangers didn't want them through their rebuild. We faded him in the first game, and that was great success. We faded him in the second game, and that kind of came back to bite us. And I'm going to fade him again here in the third game. There's Manny R in the house. George Barnum, George in Vegas in the house. I love it. Wow, and Connor McLaughlin is getting the under 5. Nice job, C-Mac. I'm on the Rays. Red Sox have lost 4 straight. Benintendi's not hitting. I know, look, we talked about their 293, 850 OPS against lefties, but show me that against Yarbrough. Perez limited the Mets to 2 runs, 2 hits, 4 walks in 5 2/3. At Tropicana Field, Martin Perez is 1-3 with an 8.39 ERA. Tampa Bay knows that they need this win. We're 20% through the year after this game, and they have to be 500 at that point to get on a run. They're hitting 210. They get Meadows back. He comes back for 2 for 4 with a RBI triple. So I doubled up on the Rays. Let's move on. We got so many games. We're breaking down all 28 MLB, NBA, and NHL games right here on Odds Headquarters. Yeah, Kev, I saw that. Too bad. And Mr. Gopser says Tampa Bay heavy. Okay, let's keep rolling. Next up, Twins, Pirates. Yeah, Sean. Look, my future bets were not very good this year. And the Carolina Hurricanes can take care of everything for me. They can take care of my future. No Ryan Bain. I'm taking the Rays first 5 -0.5 at -110, and on the -1 line at -114 using that the run line calculator that Ron Crawford gave us. All right, Yenny Toon in the house. Yenny Toon running hot. Mark Rosado says Flyers are my future. Well, you're probably in better shape than me. But I told you guys, we know what happens this first series. If you can win 3-0 or 3-1, you can get hot and roll through these teams in that first 4 bracket, whom we don't know. Now, obviously, if you watch the Lightning Bruins game, they're playing tough. But I don't know how hard they're playing. And, if the Predators and if Predators can win the next 2 games easily, Predators, for some reason, I look at the roster and I'm like, why are they? Let's wait. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's wait till we got Babano here. Okay, we're on to Twins, Pirates. And look, the Twins are 9-2, and they're offering value every game. The Twinkies, the Yankees, they just keep rolling. And I'm just always on the outside looking in going, oh, that must have been easy for the Twins backers. There's been a 5-cent move towards the Twins. Bet 365. This total's gone from 9 to 9.5. 79 Fahrenheit clear, 5 miles per hour out to right center. Dobnak, he's here because of Odorizzi's injury. And he's looked good. And he looked good last year. in a short sample size. 1.59 ERA, 1.13 WHIP. Last year in 28 and a third, 23 Ks, 5 walks. In 9 innings, he doesn't go long. 1 earned run, 7 Ks, 4 walks. Oh, Slats, I can't. I'm excited. And I've been very hesitant. The King says, how do you not go with the Twins at this point? I guess just because they're such big favorites. I have no answer. Pirates have lost 6 straight. Why don't we just keep taking the Twins? Nelson Cruz leads the majors in RBI. He's hitting .737 with runners on base. Yes, Claudio S. It's been incredible so far. It's been as good of a start to a season as I remember having. There's my 60% after 50 games. You kidding me? But that can change in a hurry. I haven't had an O for a day, and we know that happens in baseball. The King is right. How can you not go with the Twins at this point? How can you not go with the Twins? Viper MB says Twins auto bet against trash. Now, look, I've been late to the party on many occasions in my life. Sean Bird says you can't blind bet Twins. Trevor Williams looks very susceptible right now. Look, I hear you, Sean, and you're absolutely right. But I'm watching everybody else eat. I'm looking through the glass, knocking on the door. This is another minus 140 situation. Okay, we're going to revisit this very quickly, but I'm going to put the -1 without asterisks, but with question marks beside it. William McKinnis took Yarbrough to record the win at +160. That's an interesting bet. Christopher Comentini says, so interesting notes. This is great stuff, man. This is what makes this show is how the chat, it's always been that way. The chat is so sharp and interesting. It's always been this way. So we have, you can't blind bet Twins. Agreed. And Christopher Comentini says, but you can blind fade Pitt. I hear you, Sean. There's no need to push it, no need to force it. I didn't force it yesterday, but God. Another thing with this Pirates team is against lefties. You should back them, or at least their team totals. They're hitting lefties. Righties. 162, 491 OPS. Ron Crawford said, I considered it for the play of the day, but something isn't right. Interesting. Now, Ron, can you expand on that a little bit? Was that something wasn't right with in your spreadsheets, or is that something you felt something wasn't right? I would love to you to expand on that. The great Ron Crawford, 7-1-1 on the spreadsheet spots. Viper MB 6-0 betting the Twins this year. Attaboy, you got Moss. Rockies double up yesterday. Look, I know how hard. We all know how hard baseball is. So I don't want to sit here at 50 games in 60% and be like, too easy. But, God, it felt pretty fucking easy betting on the Rockies yesterday. Felt pretty easy. Okay, Moss back in action. Let's keep rolling. That's interesting. Ron Crawford said it smells a 9-2 team and a 2-9 team line should be minus 230. Flick my bick. I get it. Islanders live minus 1.5 plus 290. I get it. Ryan Bay says, and the White Sox. That's another spot. I've been staying away from White Sox games and I was very thankful early in the year. And then now they're on this winning streak. Something fishy. Something fishy. I get it. I don't need to force it. All right, let's move on to Blue Jays Rays. Hyunjin Ryu has not looked good this year. But again, last start was against the Nationals. And we know what they do to lefties, even good lefties. But he's not looked very good. 8 earned runs in 9 innings, 13 hits allowed. Good question, yeah. No, I'm going to reach out to Matt Randall. He was here earlier in the week, so I'll reach out to him. Or earlier, he was here last week, But yeah, we haven't seen him so far this week. We'll get Matt Randall back in action. Got to get the Tane play today rolling. Jays aren't hitting lefties. 197, 502 OPS, but I don't trust Newcomb. I said this for Newcomb's last start. I don't trust him now. Neither team is hitting lefties at all. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play. Oh, it's 8-1-1. Excuse me, Ron. Sorry, that was 7-1-1. Atlanta minus 124 for Ron Crawford. Wow. 8-1-1 minus 124 for Ron Crawford. Mr. Gokster, Blue Jays first 5. I mean, this is Newcomb's opportunity, right? Soroka, season-ending injury. Fulton-Avich, assigned, designated for assignment. And I don't trust Newcomb. Darian Santiago in the house, great to see you. You got Moss says Reno needs a good start. And maybe this is. Omar Perez says, is this game an easy over? Omar Perez, the question is, no, it can't be an easy over. Let's see what the number is. It can't be an easy one with the way these two teams are hitting lefties. It was at 9.5. It's down to 9. Atlanta opens up at minus 140, now minus 130. Neither team's hitting lefties at all. There's Shears in the house. Great to see you, Shears, man. Yeah, I want to see Ryu have a good start. You got Moss has a lot of powerful righties in the Toronto lineup, no doubt about it, but they're not hitting lefties. And that break didn't help. And we talked about this yesterday. They were whining about the break. Shoemaker was whining about it. What you got to say, you get an idea of a player's mindset when they're like, yeah, we had a few days off, but we're ready to get back at it. And then give the Kobe fist, the Michael Jordan fist. But instead, Shoemaker's like, oh, pitchers like routines, and now we're all out of our routines, and fucking blah, fucking and then he goes out and shits the bed. Michael Everlane, he'll be pitching very soon. I'm off. Blue Jays Braves. Johnny Cage in the house. What up, Johnny? All right, let's go. Reds, Indians. TJ Antone. I tried to study Antone this morning. Well, let's see what Flick My Bick has to say about it. I watched Ryu's last start. Maybe it was just that day. But his fastball doesn't have the movement ahead 2 or 3 years ago. Only 90-91. You got to be, yeah. Yeah. You got Moss says, but Vlad Jr. is going to have a big day. And look at that. Flick My Bick's on the Braves money line. And Sean Bird agreeing. There's Jimmy Gomez now. It's great to see you, Jimmy, my man. I'm going to be off of it. All right, we got to keep rolling. We got to go a little faster. We got Babano joining us here to talk NBA and NHL. Let's go Reds, Indians, 72 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 6 miles per hour in. And then we have TJ Antone. He's a sort of a journeyman. I believe he's 26. AA Chattanooga, AAA Louisville last year, 11-12, 4.00 ERA. He really wanted the opportunity to start. Bauer wants to pitch on 3 days rest, but Bauer's nuts. I mean, if you're the manager of Trevor Bauer, all you say is no to him every time he asks anything. No. Park your drone, shut up, and stretch. And no, you can't pitch on 3 days rest. Clevenger looks a little susceptible early in the year. 11 innings, 10 hits, 6 earned runs. 13-4, 2.71 ERA, 1.06 WHIP. Reds versus righties, 224, 767 OPS. Indians versus righties, 174, 530 OPS. They're not hitting at all. So they came back yesterday. They were down 2-0. Got the tie with 2 runs in the 7th. Then Franmil Reyes hit a 2-run homer to put him up 4-2, stopping a 4-game slide. They totaled 6 runs, losing 5 of their previous 6 games. Diehard MMA podcast in the house. I love it. Diehard MMA podcast coming off a beautiful little parlay winner last night. Great job. No, Moustakas is not likely to be back. We don't have that confirmed. It's uncertain if he's going to be available. Let's just see what kind of market move we have here. Cleveland opens up at minus 120, and they just take a ton of money. 40-cent move at Bet365 minus 160. So they're fading Antone, believing that the Indians could get hot after that. There's Jordy Nordman in the house. Team Canada's baseball cap, Jordy, my man. Crooklyn Dodgers in the house. Darian Santiago, respect. Okay. If you wanted the Indians, you should have gone on it early. Again, we talk about if you want, and this is something that being hammered into us from the likes of Ant L and Twatty Latte. If you want a big favorite or even a favorite, get them the night before. And probably should have faded TJ Antone then, but I didn't trust this Indians offense. And so I think gamblers and cappers are thinking they needed that Franmil Reyes homer. They needed to get a few runs late, and they'll get on a roll. Will they? 174, 530 OPS versus righties. I'm off that game. Let's keep rolling. Cubs, Royals. Cubs are 9-2. David Ross. 78 Fahrenheit clear, 7 miles per hour sideways, right across the diamond. It's going to help movement. Speaking of movement, Darvish had a good start. Darvish had a really good start last out. We talked about Bubic. Bubic up because of the COVID-related issues that Keller and Junis had. Cubs versus lefties, 231, 756. Jerry Beatty says Royals are live. Robert Kahn says Indians offense is an under every game. That's a good call, Robert. What is that total there? Gone from 8 to 8.5 because they don't know about Antone. I agree. And that might be something we want to fade the market movement on. It's an interesting look. Bubic. Bubic was in single A Lexington and high A Wilmington last year. He looked good there. But comes up for a start, goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 Ks, 1 walk. He's not bad. Connor McLaughlin says, take Cubs first 5 only. That bullpen not good. I think they can get to old Bubic, man. I think Bubic can get touched here. Chicago's won 5 straight. They're 9-2. Best start after 11 games since 2016. Darvish coming off a very strong performance. And Bubic out of Stanford, 40th overall pick in 2018. Gave up 3 runs, 2 earned. Irie, it was magic. I like that too. Christopher Comentini, Connor McLaughlin saying Cubs first 5. There's Brandon Cummings in the house. There we have another first responder. Brandon Cummings, Paco Healy. You guys mean so much to the world. You know, thank you. Thank you. Brandon Cummings. What a great, great guy. Nice Johnny Cage hit a 3-leg parlay last night, LA, Houston, Oakland. All right, well, let's just see what we get on the first 5 run line here. Shit, gotta move faster. First 5 run line here. Darvish, Bubic. Wow. I think that's a great bet. Brandon Cummings, I imagine, says, sorry, I can't tune all the time. It gets busy in the ER and ICU. Brandon Cummings, so much love for you and so much thanks. Nice flick, my big respect. There's Big Mo in the house. Mo Scream TV and MMA Locker Room also rolling with us. I hear you, Jason Folk. Big Mo rolling with us. Okay, I'm going to make a move. I agree. I'm just going to see what I get here in my book so I can alternative line, first 5, minus 130. I agree. I'm in. Cubs first 5 minus a half. I'm in. And Flick My Bick says, shout out to you, Cummings. Respect, brother. Okay, let's keep rolling. We have 10 minutes before Babano joins. Thanks, Noli Knows, man. Team Canada's baseball hat. Thank you. The great Noli Knows in our chat. The great Noli Knows will be rolling with us tomorrow. Every Thursday, Noli Knows right here. Right here. Betting with the bag. There's Dutch Boy Fresh in the house. I love it. Whiskey Wednesday. I love it. Thank you, Eric Rivas. Okay, let's keep rolling. Brewers, White Sox. White Sox are rolling. They've won 6 straight, 73 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 7 miles per hour in. You talk about the Brewers. You start with Christian Yelich. 0 for 3 with 3 Ks in the walk. Tuesday's batting .088. Oh, Dave Burke wants this Babano Leche. I hear you. Berkey, baby. Stage 3. Berkey can get back on stage indoors now. Social distancing. Dave Burke, great stand-up comic. Okay, Hauser, 1 start so far, 5 innings. He looked okay. 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, though. It's always been his issue. Actually, you know what? He had a pretty good year with walks last year. I take that back. I'm speaking too quickly. Just 37 walks and 111 in the third. Okay. Keuchel looks good. He's rolling. There's Red Girl in the house. Look at this. The team is back together. And we got 2 TJs. White Sox versus righties, 278, 778 OPS. They're smashing. Brewers versus lefties aren't hitting because Yelich isn't hitting. Keuchel allowed 2 runs in 5 and third innings in each of his first 2 outings. Tim Anderson on the IL. So Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Abreu, and Grandal are hitting .403 in their last 4 games. Madrigal and Encarnacion are not going to be in the lineup. Expected to not be in the lineup. Brewers' first games at home this year. They've lost 3 of 4. And Hauser looked good again. And that was against the White Sox. Wow. That was against the White Sox where 2 hits and 4 2/3. That was that was 77 pitch exhibition. Sorry, I thought that was a regular season game. Brewers, White Sox. Let's take a look at market moves. Oh shoot, sorry. Let's go to full game here. Go to full games. Milwaukee. Chicago White Sox. Wow, big market move towards Milwaukee. White Sox open up at -145, a 20-cent move at Bet365, but more at other books. Yes, I can't wait, Jimmy, and we're going to have Babano joining us. Okay, I'm off. Brewers, White Sox. Big market move towards the Brew Crew. All right, Giants, Rockies. We doubled up on the Rockies yesterday. We doubled up on the Nats yesterday. We're not going back to the well with the Nats, although we may take that first 5 under. Ron Walsek in the house. Yeah, it's been a nice week. Been a nice week and a half, but I want more. I'm very close to upping the unit size. Very, very close. TJ going Twins first 5 in full game. Cubs first 5. Brewers money line. Dodgers money line. Astros money line. Nats first 5 under. And Astros money line. Okay, let's keep rolling. There's R2D2 Finland in the house. New fight date August 22nd. Joey Spencer. We'll keep an eye out for R2D2 Finland. We're going to do that right now. Giants, Rockies, 84 Fahrenheit. You got Moss, my man. Partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour in. It certainly felt, and it never does for me, but it certainly felt like it was a very easy bet on the Rockies yesterday. Do we trust John Gray? The Giants hit him, and it's enough for me not to go back to the well. The Giants hit him. The Grays look pretty good so far this year, but in 10 career starts against the Giants, 1-4, 5.40 ERA. And against him at Coors Field, 3 starts, he's lost them all in a 9.95 ERA. The Panda, 5 for 13 against him. Belt, 8 for 21. Crawford, 5 for 15 against him. Interesting stuff coming in from the chat here. Props profit. Line looks reverse where the money came in on the Rockies so far, but line's trending towards the Giants. Anthony Vespi says, Hap is garbage. I'm staying away. So are we. Anthony, that was sort of the feeling here that in a 7-inning game. TJ says I'm riding the Rockies. Frank Fontano, though, Hap 10Ks today. I agree. Conor McLaughlin, I'm the exact same way. You got Moss says his velocity, John Gray's velocity is up. It is, and I don't mind Logan Webb. Martin Riggs, we got Riggsy in the house. Says White Sox are tough. They are, but the big market move towards the Brewers, Riggsy. Giants are hitting 267, 24 OPS versus righties. Shocking. Rockies have won 4 straight, 8 games in a row of scoring at least 5 runs. Let's just see what we're talking market-wise. Gray opens up at minus 165, 5-cent move towards the Giants. Look, that's the kind of market move that you'd want them. You'd want, you have to think the 8-2 Rockies with John Gray on the mound going up against another bullpen day that we expect Logan Webb to start. You'd expect it to be like minus 210. I feel you. That's an interesting point from Props Profit. Props Profit, great capper. Yes, we did cap that over, and I like it. I'm not going to bet it just because these guys, neither team is hitting lefties, but these are the way Ryu's pitching right now. He looks susceptible, and I don't trust Newcomb, but I'm not going to back it. Yes, I'm going against the trends in Tex and betting Tampa. Doubling up on it. I agree this Rockies train to ride. I do. All right, I'm just going to leave a couple question marks beside it. All right, Astros, Diamondbacks, McCullers versus Robbie Ray. Both pitchers look bad so far this year, especially Robbie Ray. Astros opened up at minus 160, a 10-cent move towards the Diamondbacks. This total opened up at 9.5 and it's gone down to 9. There's A. Hilly in the house. Great to see you, A. Hilly. UFC betting experience. We are breaking that down next. And we're having Babano joining us here shortly, so we'll be doing that very, very soon. Robbie Ray's looked terrible this year. Johnny Cage says that Jimmy loves fading the Red Sox. I do. Jason Falk says, tail the Rockies like ride today. On the Rays, baby. Okay. But we're going against all the trends, which I'm okay with. There's Alexi Shastian in the house. Great to see you, Alexi. Says good call over Beaver 7.5. That thing keeps hitting, but we just barely got that one, Alexi. I might stop. Claudio S. looking for a player prop. Well, we got to look at what games. First, start with what games you think are going to go over. See those player props. That takes a ton of study, Claudio S. A ton of study. Mr. Gokes says 401k on the Rays. I love it. Okay, Astros versus lefties, 265, 772 OPS. They smashed Bumgarner yesterday. They needed that day off. They're dealing with a ton of pitching injuries. And what do we do with this Diamondbacks team? So the market's moving towards the Diamondbacks. Rays looked awful, and the Diamondbacks can't hit. So you would think that the market would move towards the Astros because of how bad Ray and the Diamondbacks look, and you would think the market will move towards the over, and neither of those things are happening, which means I'm confused and nervous, very uncomfortable. Dutch Boy Fresh is on the Stros minus 140. I certainly get why you would be. I don't. Lou Chase Fox, I love it. Lou Chase Fox, a little 3-0 day. You got Moss says Ray always takes money. Lou Chase Fox's Astros will destroy the D-backs tonight. That's what it feels like. But then why wouldn't we just take the over? See, Mr. Gokster says that he wrote an article on that one. McConnell McLaughlin said fade bum yesterday. He absolutely did. Great value on McCullers at minus 140. R2D2 says Astros and override it. That's what's screaming in their face right now, right? Why is the market going against both of those looks? Okay. Very confusing. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Rangers, Athletics. I'm not saying I'm not going to do that. And George Barnum saying ride the streaks for or against. I agree. It just... Okay. We'll go over it quickly when we have everything going. And look at that. Noli's on the Diamondbacks team total under. Ben says Diamondbacks might not score. Astros team total over. I think McCullers looks very susceptible. But Noli doesn't, and he knows unders better than anyone. And Ron Lofton likes it. Melvin Batanz is not scared. Astros first 5 in full game run line. Okay, Kyle Gibson, Sean Manaea, Rangers, A's, 55 Fahrenheit, 55 Fahrenheit, overcast, 13 miles per hour, wind out to straight away center. The icon in the house. Viper MB says, back to the well for me. Astros will mash again. I'm very concerned when I see the market moving against both of those spots. I hear Noli thinking the Diamondbacks aren't going to hit McCullers. Okay, all good. We got our man Ian Cameron ready to go. And how many? We have just 2 games left. Jason Folks says never play against the Noli over-under. Hugo Moss says I hate taking overs with the Diamondbacks. Let's get through this quickly. Gibson, Manaea. Let's look at the market moves here. Gibson, Manaea. The total was originally juiced to the over. It's now juiced to the under at 8. Manaea and the A's open up at minus 175 and a 5-cent move towards Gibson. I faded Kyle Gibson in his first start and got very lucky with the sloppy defensive play in the first inning. Then he shut them down. When I watched his exhibition game, and he's supposed to be a ground ball. He's supposed to get ground balls, and they were all fly balls. And I was like, maybe he's not right, and I was wrong. He looked good, and Manaea does not look good after looking so good coming back late last year. And Robert Johnson says Rangers today. This is a stay off. I don't know when Manaea is going to get right. I don't trust the Rangers offense, and Kyle Gibson looked good in that first start. Oakland feels good about themselves. Piscotty walk-off grand slammy last night. And this Rangers team without Rugned or Danny Santana, they've just got no power, nothing whatsoever. Anthony Vespi says pass. I'm going to agree. Dodgers, Padres, we have Stripling, Richards, and then we have just that Angels-Mariners game, and then we'll move on from baseball. Stripling, Richards. Stripling opens up. The Dodgers opened up minus 145, 15-cent move towards the Padres. This total opened up at 8, and one book has moved them to 8.5. 69 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour out to right field. Garrett Richards can have real quality stuff, but he hasn't thrown over 77 innings since 2015. He was supposed to be the Angels' ace before injuries took him down. Stripling looks very strong. TJ says can't trust the Rangers. Wow, can broadcast in 10-8. Thank you for letting us know, Mo. I didn't know that. Icon likes the Dodgers under. Icon, that's moving against us. Richards making his third start season since 2018 Tommy John. 12 strikeouts in 10 2/3 innings against starts against Arizona and Colorado. He's pitched the Dodgers well in a small sample size. Stripling has incredible numbers at Petco. 3-1, 1.96 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. There's Lillian Pumpernickel. It was great to see you, Lillian. And this is a very important game for the Padres. This is a stay off for me. And then we have Julio Teheran's season debut. And a big market move, of course, towards the Mariners. That would have been a sneaky little play if you could have got the Mariners on a plus line first 5 against Teheran's season debut. Gonzalez, 6-1, 3.82 ERA in 13 career starts against the Angels. And Minai's velocity is way down. Okay, and Teheran can't be trusted, but the gambling public's already jumped all over that and got that plus line when it was available. First 5 plus line would be nice. First 5 money line, if you could get a nice juicy plus beside it, and you can't. You get plus 104, plus 101. That's not worth it to me. So let's just quickly go over everything one more time. We are off the Phillies-Yankees doubleheader, 7 innings, and I am taking the Orioles in Game 1 with Cobb. So that is happening. And then the Mets-Nationals first 5 under 4.5. I'm going to take. I believe Porcello will step up, throwing against Scherzer, his old teammate. And we know Scherzer is going to be able to be nice out there. And the Nats don't hit righties. So I'm on the under 4.5. I like that. And R2D2 says fade Cobb. Look, I'm a Cobb fan. All right, Rays first 5 -0.5, full game -1. I'm going against all the trends confidently. And then Twins -1. It just feels like a move that should be made. So I'm going to take the Cubs first 5 -0.5. And then the question is, what do I do with the Rockies and the Astros? And I might need a little bit of time to think on that. So other than the Rays, those are my only official plays because I bet them and I tweeted them out. These won't become official until I bet them. That's the only way I can have the same stats. Because before we were line shopping for the best line, and they weren't really my stats because they weren't what I was betting. And we've changed that this year. All right, there you go. There is MLB, and we're running hot in MLB. 60% to start the year. 30 wins, 20 losses, up 8.36 units, ROI plus 16.72%, average line -108. That's hot for me. That's not hot for Ron Crawford, who's 8-1-1 in his spreadsheet plays of the day, or our man Elio, who's up 24 units early in the season. But that is hot for me. All right, it is time to bring on our special guest, the great Babano, coming to us live from Hamilton, Ontario. Babano, my man, what's up? How are you?
Jimmy, we're back. I'm glad to be with you again on Betting with the Bag. This is an awesome. We'll be back doing this every week. I'm excited to have the weekly spot back with you. And for all of us, Jimmy, this is paradise right now. NHL games around the clock, NBA games around the clock, Major League Baseball as well, afternoon and night, when the games aren't being postponed, that is. A great time of year to make some money.
It is the greatest August in the history of sports.
It is.
It's the greatest August
in the
history of sports. That is a fact. I love it. Well, let's get right after it. We have a lot of work to do, and I want to take our time. We're going to start with the Association NBA. I had a very bad read on Kendrick Nunn last night. Watching Duncan Robinson do whatever he wants from 3 and not seeing Kendrick doing it made me just extremely angry. I don't remember being as angry watching the game. Went 0-2, down 2.3 units. So I'm only up 3.27 units now on the year. 123 and 111, 52.6%. Average line -108. Babano, let's get after it. We are going to start with the Grizzlies Jazz. Let's move over there right now and see what we are looking at. Utah opening up at -4. Now there's 5s and 5.5s on the board. This total was dropping and continues to 225 down to 219.5. Both teams missing key pieces. Jaren Jackson Jr. gone. Bogdanovich gone. And very key pieces. Neither team looks good right now. Jazz just lost to the Lakers. Ran with them for a half. And then when the Lakers chose to turn it up, Utah couldn't fight back. Utah did win on the glass, but they shot 12 of 43 from 3. Donovan Mitchell seems to be the only guy that you can count on. Grizzlies look bad. Lost 3 straight, can't be trusted, and are falling quickly. Babano, Grizzlies, Jazz, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, the money's coming in on Utah, and you mentioned the under as well as taking money because for the Jazz, first of all, have looked bad offensively. Memphis was not very good offensively their last game against New Orleans. I think people see that, and people betting on Utah see that Memphis is 0-3, straight up in the restart here in Orlando. They've not looked good. They've not found a way to win close games. I will say this about the Grizzlies, though, before we overreact, and I know there's been this big flood of Utah money pushing this up to, 5.5. Memphis has been right there. Okay, this has been a team that hasn't been blown out in these games. They lost in overtime to Portland, right down to the wire. They lose to San Antonio, and then the game against their last game against I'm trying to remember who it was now. Just came up short. New Orleans. They just came up short in that game against the Pelicans. I know Jaren Jackson is a huge, huge loss for the Grizzlies. Obviously injured, knee injury, out for the rest of this season for the Memphis Grizzlies, and that hurts. But I'll tell you what, right now, Jimmy. First game after a key player gets hurt and you're knee-jerk betting against that team because of a key injury, that's a long-term money loser in the NBA. How many times do we see it in this league? Step-up effort, guy out of the lineup, everybody pulls up the bootstraps, does a little bit more. You're not going to see John Morant play a worse game than he did against New Orleans. He was minus 12 when he was on the floor. He shot 1 of 10 from 3, I think 5 of 21 for the game from the floor. That's a great player, and I think he's going to be very much determined to be great today. And do you want to lay points to anybody out there with Utah? You feel confident doing that right now? They're having trouble offensively. There's not as much urgency coming into this game for them as there are for Memphis. For Memphis, look at what's going on right now in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the Western Conference. Portland's right on their heels. San Antonio's right on their heels. Phoenix, even Sacramento, still got a shot. And with Memphis losing these first 3 games, there's a sense of urgency here. You want to lay points with Utah? Well, if you want to do that, you're talking about a team that is 2-13-2 against the spread their last 17 tries as a favorite. This is not a team I want to lay points with. I like Memphis. I'm taking them plus the points.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I still am not sure that I trust them, but I do think that Morant is going to be able to. Ja's going to have a game here.
I honestly don't think I've seen him play worse than he did against New Orleans. That was about as bad a game as you could possibly get at both ends of the floor, really, against Morant. In that game against New Orleans, his defense wasn't really that good. And I mentioned Utah's offensive struggles; they really are scuffling at the offensive end. Bojan Bogdanovic is a huge loss. I mean, that was just that boost offensively that he would provide in games. And now you're looking for that guy, Joe Ingles. We think he might be that guy, but he's been sort of up and down, hit or miss so far in the restart. So to me, Utah offensively challenged. I think Memphis has a whole lot more at stake in this game than Utah does. They're desperate. There's a sense of urgency. I'm reading the quotes from Taylor Jenkins, the coach. I'm reading from a bunch of the players saying, we got to step things up and we need this one badly. Doesn't mean you're going to win. But you're going to give me plus points against a team that's a lousy favorite and less to play for? Sign me up.
Makes sense. I also think that Ja is going to be in a bounce back situation here. I think he's going to
props. I know, Jimmy, you like the NBA player props. You look at those. I think some Ja props are something I would absolutely look at.
Well, I mean, if you look at his past, so right now, if you want Ja points, assists, and rebounds, 34.5, and it's juiced to the under. And if you look at his last few games, I mean, this last debacle happened. He only got 11 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, so it's 24. But the game before that, 25, 9, and 9, that's 43. The game before that, 22, 11, and 6, that's 39. And this is a slow Jazz team. They're not. I mean, Spider's fast, but this is a slow Jazz team, and I think that's a move I'm going to make right now. I'm going to jump on John Morant over 34.5 points, assists, and rebounds.
And personally, I agree with the points, assists, and rebounds rather than just points or rather than just rebounds or rather than just assists, because John Morant's one of those equal opportunity players. He spreads the wealth from a production standpoint. points, assists, and rebounds. So I think when it comes to his props, looking at all three combined in the one prop's the best way.
And Ingles, Slow-Mo Joe looks slower than I could ever imagine him right now. He just looks awful. I shouldn't say he looks awful. I know he gets the job done, but I thought that when Bogdanovich went down that he was going to step up. And if anyone steps up on that team, it's Clarkson and nobody other than, of course, Donovan and Gobert. I wonder if Donovan keeps rolling. I'm not going to take the over 25.5, actually. If the game's going to the under. Okay, so that's my first play. I'm on John Morant. And Connor McLaughlin is back in the Grizzlies. So is our Babano. Let's move on to Sixers, Wizards. Sixers do not look good. They do not look good. Man, 132-130 victory over the Spurs on Monday. They've allowed 127 and 130 points in their 2 games so far. They're getting destroyed at the 3-point line. And now they play a team in the Wizards with very little skill, but are playing with a ton of heart. Let's see what we're dealing with. Sixers open up at minus 10.5. That's where they stand across the board. This total opened up at 233 and is now at 229.5. And one thing that we've seen, Babano, with these Wizards is they're scoring less. They keep scoring less and less each game. Dennis Garcia says can't lay 10 with Philly ever. How are you handling this spot, Babano? Sixers, Wizards.
I 100% agree with Dennis. Absolutely 100% agree. You can't lay doubles with Philadelphia. 9-25-2 against the spread away from home. They've been absolutely untrustworthy. Away from Philadelphia, laying big points. You look at them so far. They lose outright to Indiana. They let San Antonio right back in the basketball game the other night, almost blow it, even though they took a 10-point lead at one point in the third quarter. San Antonio coming back for not only the point spread cover, nearly the outright upset win as a 7-point underdog in that game. They're not playing a lick of defense, and I don't see that urgency. I see hands on the hips. I see them just skulking around the court like it's a midseason game. I don't see intensity being ramped up. I don't see this as a Sixers team that's saying to themselves, we got to get ourselves playing our best and ramping our form up right before the playoffs begin. It's been absolutely abysmal, their defense so far. I've got a small bet on Washington here. It's a hold your nose bet. It's, not something you can do with a lot of conviction. We're talking about a Wizards team that's, barely able to field a roster. Beald's not here. Of course, Wall's been out all year. Davis Bertans hasn't shown up here for the Wizards for this restart. Guy's out. But one thing I think that we will get from the Wizards is effort. I mean, they hung around with Indiana. I know they failed to cover the number down the stretch, but the effort seems to be there. They lost to Brooklyn the first game as well. I get that. But this is not a team that's mailed it in. For a team that's got probably zero chance of getting it into this, play-in situation in the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they haven't completely rolled over. It's obviously kind of a leap of faith, Jimmy, to back the Wizards at any point, but there's no way I'm laying with the Sixers. I bet against them a couple of times already, cashed both times, 0-2 against the spread for the Sixers so far in this restart. I'm looking at Washington plus the points over the total as well. Smaller bets, but I think it was worth it to pull the trigger. Wiz and over the total as well.
I like it. When we came back from the restart, we knew that there'd be no Beal and no Bertans, and then, of course, who cares about Wall? I was saying, and I hate this so much when I say something and I don't follow it up, but I was saying Troy Brown is going to – we talked about Rui being an option, but Troy Brown is going to be a threat here for all these prop bets, and he has been. And, of course, the market catches up immediately right when I want to pull the trigger. But I see a 23.5 for Troy Brown for points, rebounds, and assists. I think he gets there. I really think he gets there. But there are some games where he doesn't hit the boards. And so that first game against the Suns, he put up 15 points, and his point total over-under was 12.5, but no rebounds, assists. Then against Brooklyn, he goes for 22 points, 10 boards, 8 assists. And then Monday night against the Pacers, 10 points, 8 assists, 7 boards. I think Troy Brown, it's 1-0 Panthers. It's a good stay off. I think that Troy Brown, if so you are backing these Wizards what are these spots? Who are the players you think are going to step up and have some advantages? Because Jay Rich is a good defender on Troy Brown. Who do you like to put the ball in the bucket for the Wiz?
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. This has been a team offensively where we've seen their production decline so far in the first couple of games. I think Thomas Bryant's been impressive.
Definitely.
If I'm looking at someone, obviously a tough matchup. You're talking about a big center in the low post against a Philadelphia team that's got plenty of low post interior size and muscle. This is not going to be the easiest offensive matchup for him, but I like the effort that I'm seeing from him. You're right about Troy Brown. I think that, they have given up so much dribble penetration, the Sixers, from guard play. So I'd look Ish Smith as well in this game for the Washington Wizards. That's a guy that could have a big day offensively. They're not keeping the ball in front of them. Guards are able to just slash to the basket, slash to the rim. I'm actually shocked at just how bad some of these defensive rotations have been for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's almost as if, they're just not interested, to be honest. You look at the first two games, San Antonio and Indiana, both of those games for Philadelphia, terrible. Defensive play, both of those games. So I'm looking at Thomas Bryant and Ish Smith, other than Troy. Obviously, you like Troy Brown. I wouldn't talk you out of that, Jimmy. But Ish Smith and Thomas Bryant are two of the guys that I think have stepped up for Washington. It's been a little bit of a dearth of scoring at times, but those are at least two guys that I think I can rely on offensively a little bit, especially against a team that isn't defending right now.
I think the Ish call is very, very interesting because we know Shake is not going to be defending much. Wow. And the Ish Smith prop is a juice to the under 12.5. Okay, I'm going to keep thinking on that while we keep breaking these down. Put Ish up here too.
He got 12 points last game against Indiana, but keep in mind, Indiana's playing at least some defense. That hasn't been the case with Philly so far.
Without a doubt.
Philly guards have been killing Philly. Just absolutely blowing them up, destroying them so far in the first two games.
Oh, without a doubt.
TJ Warren had 51 points against them in the first game. So, again, the defensive play, they're talking, hey, we got to shore it up, but I got to see it with my own two eyes first. To be good defensively, Jimmy, you need to be some intensity on the basketball court. I just haven't seen it in the first two games for Philly.
Dutch Boy said, first saying Jerome Robinson has been scoring as well. Ron Walsack saying, stay with your one NBA prop, Jimmy. Okay, let's keep rolling. But
That's
now
okay. We're relaying ideas. We're relaying suggestions. That's what we're doing.
Jay Rich is a good defender. Ish Smith is not. And Shake Milton is not. I think that Ish Smith will say, look, I can beat Shake. Watch me beat Shake. That's very interesting. I'm going to cut Troy Brown and focus on Ish right now. Okay, let's keep rolling right now. Next up, we have Nuggets Spurs, and this Spurs team being led by DeMar DeRozan, who's playing very well. But no LaMarcus Aldridge is just a huge hole for this basketball team. And then we have the Nuggets, just like old times, being counted out with these injuries. So what? We have no Harris, so we're going to see Craig and Porter Jr. and Jeremy Grant. Porter Jr. is being like the guy we expected or thought Missouri was getting. And then we have – move over to Denver. We know that Jamal's questionable, but no Barton, no Harris. So we're going to see Torrey Craig, Michael Porter Jr. against the Spurs team that can't defend and is playing at a much faster pace without LaMarcus Aldridge. Let's see what the market move here is and see how Babano's handling this. Denver opens up at -5. They're now -3. And this total's gone from 224.5 to 227. Babano, take it away.
So Denver came into this restart, didn't look like a team that was given a shit. Michael Malone came right out and said that, you know what, we're not overly concerned with these 8 regular season games. And boy, they played like it the first game against Miami. They got blown out. Murray missed that game. They were shorthanded, a couple others as well. And they just were listless. But as much as Malone said we're not putting all kinds of emphasis on these 8 regular season games, he still read them the riot act after that game, because he said we still expect the guys in there to give an effort and be ready to play at a high level, and nobody was. So sure enough, Denver turns around from that tirade from their coach, and they come back strong. They beat Oklahoma City in overtime in their last game outright as underdogs. You give them credit. Now I'm kind of concerned they fall back into, not a urgent type of deal for us this game here against San Antonio. And the betting markets have reacted that way too. San Antonio was +5. They're down to +3 now in this game. So lots of Spurs money. And some of it's mine, Jimmy. I like San Antonio here. I really do. Plus the points, 3-0 against the spread. This is never going to be a good defensive team. Let me just put that, make that very clear. But at least I've seen this team in critical situations rise up, get timely stops. They did it to beat Memphis. They did it to beat Sacramento. Against Philadelphia, they battled back from a big deficit. You're seeing a lot of heart. You're seeing a lot of spirit, and you're seeing a lot of will from the Spurs. You're talking about DeMar DeRozan leading the charge. This is a guy that wants to make the playoffs, Jimmy. He's playing like it. He was electric down the stretch against the Sixers, almost leading the Spurs back to victory in that game. DeJounte Murray's been strong. Derek White's been back. Patty Mills is now finally back. He's on a minutes restriction because they're trying to work him back. He's been out for a while, but boy, it's another guy that can facilitate the offense here for San Antonio. And for Denver, 1-4 ATS, last 5 is a favorite. They got the win after the coach kind of ripped them. Now we know no Harris, no Barton, Jamal Murray questionable. No, this is not a spot for me to lay points with Denver. San Antonio 3-0 ATS so far. They've been in every game. I expect them to be in this game too and have a chance to win outright. So I like San Antonio once again, just like I did against Philly.
Oh, it's a good look. And what number did you get in at?
I got it at 3. I didn't get the best number. I mean, it opened 5. I jumped in on it at +3.5. I believe it's +3 right now. But I think they can win this game outright fashion, or it's a down to the last possession type of game. And if that's the case, we'll cash that ticket as well.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And what do you think about this total here? This total that's gone up from 224.5 to 227.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's warranted. San Antonio is not a team I'm in love with betting under the total, and I think I could see this being a little bit higher scoring. But again, San Antonio has picked it up a little bit in their defensive mindset. Again, they still struggle at that end of the court. There's just not a lot of true bona fide gifted defensive players on the Spurs. That's what it's been like all year. But to me, they're still the far superior offensively than they are at the other end of the court. So I didn't bet it though, because Denver's kind of slowed it down a little bit, and they did emphasize a little bit of defense after the Miami loss. But I can understand why people bet the over. I leaned to the over, but I didn't pull the trigger. I thought the side was the much stronger play here.
Very, very interesting stuff. We got Tony Bruscher in the house. Great to see you, Tony. And LDJ, Big Boss. Great group here. Pedro Barbosa says DeRozan will have a matchup. I see that too. Again, as we know up here in the North, you can move him. He doesn't, I know they're using him at the 4, but you can put him down to the 3. You can pop him down to the 2 if you want. And so I'm going to take, and I know Ron Walsack's shaking his head right now, but I'm going to take over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists for DeMar DeRozan coming off a bad game. It was a low-scoring game, but he didn't have as good of a game with Memphis here. And then that Sixers game, he went off, just like he did in the Sacramento Kings game. So, okay, over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I will be locking in here. And Aunt L, hope you took.
And by the way, I want to point out something. Obviously, we're concerned from a San Antonio perspective. How are you going to handle Jokic? Obviously, you always have to look at that when you're playing Denver. And I'm not saying Jakob Poeltl can handle him, but Jakob Poeltl's showing some toughness. He's showing some, no, I'm not backing down from anybody in the first few games for San Antonio. I've liked his moxie down in that paint area for the Spurs. I'm not saying he's going to nobody's going to completely neutralize Nikola Jokic. He's one of the best bigs going. But I like the kind of effort and that mindset of, whether I can do it or not, I'm still going to do everything in my power to make it tough on the opposing big. I've seen that kind of thing from Poeltl so far. So hopefully he can at least somewhat get the ball out of Jokic's hands. You're right. DeMar DeRozan at the point guard spot has an advantage over this Denver backcourt in this game, especially with if Jamal Murray is once again out of the lineup, because then you go down from a point guard standpoint. And Will Barton, of course, out. So what do you got? Monte Morris, PJ Dozier. I mean, there's a huge drop off, and that could be a problem against DeMar DeRozan and the Spurs.
Jokic could have a giant night, and they're expecting that from the prop perspective. His points, rebounds, assists, 40.5. Steve Priest saying Stamkos out for Lightning today. Ron Walsick says was laughing. Anything you touch this week is gold. We're running nicely right now. We're running nice, and Al congratulating me on that Nats bet. The 2 days that Ant's been on the show and the 1 day that Noli knows been on the show, those have been my 3 best baseball days of the year. So very thankful to cap with these guys live and cap with the chat here. Let's go Thunder, Lakers. Dwight Howard expected to be out. Dennis Schroeder has left the bubble due to the birth of his first child. Lakers, Thunder. Lakers open up at -6. They're now 5.5. This total opened up at 219. It's now 217. Anthony Davis looked so good until he ran in to the Raptors. So you have to expect that he's going to bounce back. And then with no Schroeder, it's the Shea show. You're going to see Gilgeous-Alexander all over the place. He'll be rolling, and he'll be on the floor with Chris Paul. Thunder 1-1 since the restart, and the Lakers, after that loss to Toronto, are smarting. What do you think here? Thunder, Lakers, Babano.
So the Lakers with their win against Utah Monday night, and I've kind of figured that was kind of going to be a bit of a bounce back for them. They lost to the Raptors, played extremely poorly on Saturday night. They were focused to bounce back against the Jazz, played great. They've played really good defense, actually, the first 3 games. But what's the problem for the Lakers right now, Jimmy? It's the offense. You're not going to be completely in sync when you're taking out Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo. You've got to replace both of those guys. Facilitating the offense is becoming much more difficult. It's an experimenting type of process that head coach Frank Vogel is going through right now. And that's where the problems have been for the Lakers in the first few games. It's just not been quite in sync offensively and efficient at that end of the court. It got better in the second half against Utah. That was their best offensive half of the NBA restart for sure. Second half, in my opinion, against Utah rather. So I give them credit for that. But you read the quotes coming off that win, Jimmy, for the Lakers. They're talking about clinched #1 seed in the West with that win against Utah. Talking about, we're going to focus on just fixing elements of our game for the rest of the few games. You got LeBron James after the game saying, you know what, I'm really focused on this battle for the 7th and 8th seeds. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that you're focused on your team. I want to hear that you're focused and ready to go for these remaining games. I don't want you to hear, Tom, I'm really going to keep my eye on this battle for the 7th and 8th seed. He was quoted as saying that. So where's LeBron's head at? Now that the Lakers have wrapped up the #1 seed in the West. So I'm not laying 6 here with the LA Lakers. No way. And you're talking about an Oklahoma City team, frustrating overtime loss against Denver. I know they're a bit short-handed. No Dennis Schroeder. He's taking care of a personal issue. Terrence Ferguson is still out as well for the Thunder, but Chris Paul's played well so far here in Orlando. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, my boy, Hamilton proud. It's right on the back here. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he's been awesome. I think he's got a good matchup here. Danilo Gallinari's been solid. You got Steven Adams or Nerlens Noel in the low post to at least throw some kind of size at Anthony Davis here in this game. And Oklahoma City, all you're talking about with them and Billy Donovan's team, Jimmy, the single best point spread team in the NBA this season. 41-25 against the spread away from home, 23-8 against the spread. Profitable ATS off a loss this year as well. I think you know where I'm headed, Jimmy. Thunder plus the points for me.
Tailing is all I have to say. Makes absolute sense. Complete and total sense. The chat on it as well. I got to make this bet before it gets down to 5. Like it. Okay, let's keep rolling. Raptors, Magic. I can't. We can't speed up when we're talking about the Raptors. I know that, but let's try and speed up because we got NHL as well. Raptors, Magic. Raptors open up at -7. Now they're at -7.5. Orlando 224.5. Now 223.5. And this has, to me, public losing their money all over it. Raptors have played 2 very good teams so far and looked very good. They're on a 6-game winning streak dating back last year, and the Magic looked beyond awful. So they lose Jonathan Isaac, and then they what were they down with 19-3 early? If I wait, I think money's just going to keep coming in on the Raptors, and I'm leaning towards Orlando. What do you think here, Babano?
Not a great Raptors spot, and certainly not a great Raptors price. The spot for Toronto was the Laker game. That was a great spot for them with the Lakers off the Battle of LA victory in the last seconds The Raptors were always fired up to play the Lakers, and they dominated LA. If you actually look at the long-term Raptor-Lakers series history, it's been all Toronto. And they came into that game and played a great game. And even yesterday, Toronto was getting pick'em, or laying just a point or two against Miami. And they pulled it out late. Another big win for them. Now you're playing Orlando. You're stepping down, playing a lower team. It's a question of focus, and it's a question of value, Jimmy. Is the focus there for the Raptors? Is the point spread value there here in this spot, in this matchup for the Raptors? I don't think it will be, potentially. I'm not stepping in front of Toronto, but you're right. This has big-time, popular, public favorite. Public sees Toronto just playing great, and they've been awesome. They have been the single best defensive team so far in this restart. They have been suffocating at that end of the court. We know they've got as good or better depth on their bench than any other team in the NBA. And people saw Orlando yesterday against Indiana get their teeth kicked in. Got blown off the floor by the Indiana Pacers. So there's not going to be a lot of people step into the betting window to back Orlando here in this game. It's just got that smell of a rotten spot for Toronto. So I'm off the side in this game. I played a half unit only over 223 in this game, and I'm not confident in it, but I have to. And here's why I have to. The Orlando Magic are 15-0 to the over in their last 15 games. That's unbelievable. 15 straight overs for the Orlando Magic. It's been a combo of a declining defense, a faster-paced offense, especially Markelle Fultz, who was left for dead after Philadelphia stepped in and given them some extra production. They've shot the three well. Vucevic, Aaron Gordon inside's been good. They've just been better offensively, faster-paced, weaker defensively. But why I'm keeping this small, and my mantra in all sports is when a team's on a crazy total streak, Jimmy, ride the streak. Just ride it until proven otherwise. So that's why I'm on the over for half unit, but only half unit because I'm scared to death with this Raptors defense. They're suffocating. They've been trending under the total. So it's kind of a clash of heads here. Something's got to give. But just because of the streak, I'm on the over for a small bet. Nothing on the side.
Well, I'm going to double up on the side. I might talk myself out of the double up, but
the one thing is Orlando played yesterday. Toronto did not. So a little bit of a rest edge for Toronto. But
that's not being hurting teams.
Yep.
That's not being hurting teams because it's so early in the year. And I guess that doesn't make sense so early in the year because we think at the beginning of the season teams on the second half of back-to-back to have a heavy leg. So I take that back. Maybe Magic first quarter is being too cute. I'm certainly going to be on the Magic full game. I'm going to wait, though. I want money to keep coming in on the Raptors. And that Magic first quarter plus 2.5 seems extremely appealing to me. So I'm definitely on the Orlando Magic today. Okay, Nets, Celtics. And you know what? The Raptors are a very scary, dangerous team that thrives on adversity, and they could...
That's true. And if they're locked in again, Jimmy, and focused, and they win and they cover, you know what you say? You tip the cap to our beloved Raptors and say, you know what? Great job, guys. You were great. What can I say? But this is the ultimate spot for them maybe to fall short. Maybe it is. So we'll see what happens. I know it's not easy, though, to pull the trigger against them. Yeah. Goal Islanders, 1-1. They just tied it.
All right, let's keep rolling, and then we'll get into NHL. Next up, we have Nets, Celtics, and this is such an interesting capping situation, Papano. So the Nets, the biggest underdog outright win, since 93 or some shit? And now the starters come back in, and they go up against the Celtics team that did not look good yesterday against the Jimmy Butler-less Heat squad. And sure, Antetokounmpo and Middleton didn't play in the second half, but the Nets players held their own, played with heart, and now they're up against the Celtics with their starters back. And we have another big spread. Minus 8.5 for the Celtics, and this total has gone from 228 to 225.5. Babano, take it away, Nets Celtics.
Yeah, this is probably the game I have the least opinion on of the entire card. So I'll be quick. I still can't lay 8.5 with Boston. And Brad Stevens has ripped his team's defense more than once during this restart. Not good enough at the defensive end. They let Portland right back into the game on the weekend. Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat, and they had no problem executing offensively against the Celtics. They're not playing the level of defense that I like in my 8.5-point favorite. But, is this the spot to pull the trigger on Brooklyn? The big, huge underdog win, 18.5, 19-point dog winning outright against Milwaukee. They played that game with their hearts on their sleeve. I mean, you could tell it. They laid it all out there on the court for a short-handed and mangled a basketball team as they were, absence-wise, going into that game. to give him credit for that, but Milwaukee was sort of, not taking that game seriously. Huge monster result for the sports books. I mean, everybody had Bucks money line parlays, Bucks, teasers, Bucks laying the points. I mean, not a soul, public wise, not many anyway, wanted Brooklyn in that game. Brooklyn gets the job done, but I don't trust them. You're back to back. But Boston's not playing much defense right now to trust them laying 8.5. So this was a clear pass for me, Jimmy.
Agreed. A pass for me as well. Let's go over our NBA. What is your action on today's NBA card?
So we've got Memphis plus 5.5. I like them still at plus 5, which is the current number right now. We're on Washington plus 10.5 and over 229 for half a unit. The total's gone up a half point, but I still like it there. The one unit, by the way, on Memphis, 1 unit on San Antonio, plus 3.5 against Denver. I still endorse it at plus 3. Oklahoma City, plus 6 against the LA Lakers, 1 unit. I still endorse it at plus 5.5. And half unit Toronto, Orlando, over 223. Strictly riding the 15-game over streak for Orlando. So that's my NBA card.
Spectacular work and great breakdowns. I'm just making a decision on Ish Smith right now, but I'm on Ja over 34.5 points, assists, and rebounds. I'm making a decision on Ish right now. I'm on DeRozan over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm on the Thunder plus 5.5. And I'm going to be on Magic full game. I'm still deciding. I don't know why I would need to double up here. And even thinking about it, my first instinct was, oh yeah, I just cut $25 off your unit size and double up. And that's not a good sign either.
By the way, Jimmy, before we move on to NHL, one last point. Underdogs swept the board yesterday. 6-0 against the spread, and 5 of them won out. 5 of them won outright. Brooklyn beat Milwaukee outright. Phoenix beat the LA Clippers outright. We saw Portland beating Houston outright. Miami beating Boston outright. And there's one more I'm missing. The only team, and the team that covered as a dog but didn't win straight up, was Sacramento, losing in overtime against Dallas. So it was a clean sweep ATS for underdogs. And and I'm looking for dogs more than favorites right now, Jimmy. These are the teams that need the wins. These are the teams treating these games with more urgency, more intensity, trying to get into a playoff spot. I don't think it is a coincidence we had a 6-0 day with underdogs ATS yesterday. These are the teams bringing a little more to the table than their maybe somewhat disinterested opponent.
Yeah, I love it, and I agree. Ish Smith, I have not made a decision yet on. So, gonna wait. All right, let's move on to NHL. And Babano, I'm running hot. And because we were doing shows together, I couldn't get hot all year. And then I won 5 straight to close out the season. I didn't realize we were closing out the season. And then I lost my first bet with the Canucks minus 110. And then hit with the Penguins, game 2 minus 112. Hit with the Canadians under 1.5 at plus 190 in the last game. And Predators minus 1 plus 123. Hit with that and then pushed that Canucks plus 207 minus 1. Let's get after it. Starting with the Predators, I'm going back to the well. Babano, I'm taking the Predators to take out this Coyotes team. Their general manager, whom I despised, maybe a bit of a jealousy, a 26-year-old getting the job, but I hated his moves consistently. He had no respect for toughness. The only tough player on this whole Coyotes team is their coach, Rick Tocchet. Saros now has some confidence in himself, and the Coyotes lose Schmaltz, who's not that good, but you see a big hole in their lineup. The Predators are just tougher. They're bigger. They're faster. Their forwards are much bigger. And I'm going right back to the well. Predators minus 1. I think the Predators win this game and the next game and finish this series 3-1.
So you're talking about John Chaika that way. Is that your way of saying I don't like 26-year-old pompous goody two-shoes math nerds? You're right. Those aren't the kind of people I'm going to the bar with either, Jimmy. I understand what you're saying there. That's for sure. No, that whole situation is just an absolute debacle right there. The GM and the ownership falling out. But I'm going to actually go head-to-head with you on this one. I like Arizona still. In this series, bounce back spot after the loss yesterday, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call, and they were dominated. And if Nashville plays like that again, they could be in trouble. But I'm going to dare them to play that way again. Consistency has been sort of something that's been lacking all year with this group. Both teams, by the way, stink on the second of back-to-back games this season. So there's really no edge there. But I think Darcy Kemper has proven enough this season to be a good enough goalie that he can bounce back and play a lot better here today in this game. I'm tempted by the over because it's so low at 5. And both of the games in this series, shockingly, have gone over the total. This was a series a lot of people said would be a lower scoring series. So I do like the over small, half unit each, Arizona and over. It's not my strongest bets, but Arizona and over half unit each for me here.
Arizona did not deserve to win game 1. They got puck luck, and that's a big part of the first game of a series or the 7th game of a series, one game in a series. But I said all year long that Arizona was going to be an easy team to play against. That's when the best teams step up, when you have to play a team every second night. And when you have 26-year-old general managers who have no respect for toughness, your team is going to be an easy team to play against every second night. Now, I don't like that Nashville's defense has become soft, which it has, but their forwards are bigger, tougher, meaner. And Nashville is going to win again today, is my belief here. Steve Priest going Nashville, Arizona goes to OT. I'm watching these games. I just see a much better hockey team in Nashville. And the problem is I've seen a much better hockey team in Nashville all year long, and they've been bad. And they've let me down on countless occasions. And let me also preface that with that run I'm on, I'm still down 1.27 units on the year after smashing it the last 2 years in front of you. So, and one of the problems has been the Predators and my belief in them. So, and
one of my strengths this year has been fading the Predators. So there you go. I mean, I've just been anti-Nash. I just think now there is something positive. I will give them some because you have to. They played a good game yesterday. Ryan Johansson finally did something, and he has been just not good. Arvidsson did something. He has not been good. Duchesne disappears in games. Kyle Turris' career has fallen off a cliff, essentially. I can't find him with a telescope on the ice these days. I think the defense outside of Roman Jossi's been less than inspiring. But they were good, and UC Saros was good. And it was interesting to see him stick with UC Saros. There was a lot of people thinking Pekka Rinne was going to get the start yesterday. Saros came back and played a lot better. So big game today. We'll see how it goes.
And I expect the same goalies in net. Even though it's the second half of back, I expect the same goalies in net here. There's been talk of whether there'll be a goalie change. But Ranta, it has to be Kemper, right? Because Ranta's hurt. He's deemed unfit to play, left in the second period.
Yep. That's
another question mark if you're back in these Coyotes. But we've had, 7,000 tests and nobody has COVID.
Not a single positive test in either NHL or NBA bubble. So hello, MLB. Great job, guys. You really got this one right.
Okay, let's talk about Lightning Bruins now. I've questioned whether these top 4 seeds would be playing each other tough. I wasn't sure, and then we saw the Lightning play the Bruins. So there are some teams playing each other tough because it was clear that that there was a message being sent, and then the Lightning playing the Capitals. So I think that the East so far is taking these top 4 seeds a little. They're carrying a little more than what's happening over in the West. And I was afraid to bet on these top 4 seeding games, and I still am. And Stamkos is not going to be in the lineup this evening. And Tampa won 3 of 4 games in the regular season against Boston. They were all 1-goal margins, except for a 5-3 the Lightning win a week before the COVID break. I've not made a bet on any of them, and I don't plan to now. Boston opening up at -115. That's where they stand. It's total of 5.5. Are you making a move here, Lightning Bruins?
Yeah, both games. This one, Boston coming into the restart here in Toronto was not a team I had a sense was excited, motivated, had the utmost urgency, intensity right off the chute. To begin this restart, they were not good in the exhibition game against Columbus. And I watched the Sunday game where they lost to the Flyers. Listless, lifeless, lacking energy. Those are the words that come to mind watching the Bruins play in that game. They were terrible. They didn't look like they gave a damn about putting a good performance together. And Bruce Cassidy finally had enough. He said, "It's time for us to make a friggin' play," was the quote he said after that game, after the Flyers. So he finally gave it to his team. And even though I've circled Boston as bet against in these round robin games, I don't know if I'm going to do that today. This is Tampa Bay. This is a team they're direct competition with to get out of the East. I think they'll take this game serious. I think they'll be more excited and more enthused and more locked in, Jimmy, I think today against the Lightning than they were the last game against the Flyers. They want to shoot the puck more. They want to be more aggressive. They say their offense has been stagnant. I actually don't have anything on the side. I took my win against Boston with Philly. I'm going to put it in pocket. I'm not going against them today for a second straight time, but I do like the over in this game. 5.5. Bruins want to get their offense going. Their power play's been terrible. And Tampa Bay's usually, even without Stamkos, they've had no trouble, Jimmy, lighting the lamps so far in these first couple games. And it's a low total of 5.5, especially for Tampa. So I like the over in that game a little bit.
I get it. I feel like with these series, we now can really have strong angles on who's going to bounce back when and when the games are important, and with totals and with these top 4 seedings.
It's tough. I mean, I haven't bet a lot of them either. This one, though, stood out a little bit more for me. But I hear you. They're not. I'm not betting as much of the round robin games. Nowhere close to as many round robin games as I am the play-in series.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a move here or this Avalanche Stars spot unless after your breakdown. Colorado opens up at -130. There's been a 5-cent move towards them at bet 365. This total, as in all Stars games, is under 5.5 and juiced to the under. The Stars got lucky on the time of the break. They'd lost 7 straight, and they because of what percentage points, but mine will get in that top 4 spot. And Dallas now, if they lose, they can't get higher than the third seed. I don't think they care, and I don't trust Ben or Seguin to step up in games when they don't have to, and I don't trust them to step up in games when they have to. I just don't trust them at all. And then these centers, it's such a funny thing, Babano, that happens. These young, MVP type centers, it takes a while for them to get going if their name isn't Sidney Crosby. And we've seen that with McKinnon. And, we saw that from Zibanejad. There was times in February where Zibanejad was the best player in the NHL, and he couldn't get rolling. McKinnon hasn't quite got rolling. They've separated the Rantanen and Landeskog line. Bednar gave him a day off Monday. I don't know. I can't make I'm not going to put my money on an angle in this game, but I'd like to hear your breakdown.
Yeah, to me, this is like handicapping 101 of NFL preseason all over again with these round robin games. It's who wants it, who's a little bit more focused, who's a little bit more motivated. I don't think motivation will be an issue for Dallas because they dominated Vegas for 2 periods and we're up 3-1. And they said it took her foot off the gas, got complacent, and Vegas just ambushed them in the third period and came back from 3-1 down to win 5-3. Dallas sounds like they're coming to play here in this game today. But it's not easy to go against Colorado right now. They've looked focused. They've looked sharp coming out of the gate. A small play for me, Dallas, half unit, but just because I'm not overly excited about going against Colorado. But I'm pretty sure hearing what I'm hearing from Dallas, they weren't happy with that third period. They want to make amends for it. So just on that info alone, small play on Dallas, but it's not something that I'm in love with.
I can understand that. Steve Priest on the under 5.5. R2D2 said all games Dallas for Savs all season have been under 5.5.
Yes, I like that. I would lean under as well for sure.
And Reese under 5.5 and leaning to the Avs. It's just and you got Moss. I haven't been watching the Isles Panthers game, so I can't. It doesn't make sense for me to give any kind of a move on what to in play right now.
I have Islanders for the series, so obviously I'm hoping they close it out today, but they got 3 chances.
An easy bet, smart bet, great bet. Let's go to Pens Habs, and man, I just one of those. Some of these games have been. I don't want to say easy because we know how hard capping is, but the Canadians under 1.5 at plus 190 in game 2. And, I was sitting there. I was like, why aren't you on the full game under if you're so bullish about the Canadians under 1? But it depends. I wanted to watch Price do it again, and I did watch Price do it again. Price is excellent. And Matt Murray is stepping up like he has done before in his career, and he doesn't seem to do it always. But this was a bet I was thinking, do I have the balls to make? And I said if I make money last night, then I'll take 4.5 instead of a 5 or a 5.5. So I'm on under 4.5 at plus 195 in Pittsburgh, Montreal, and I'm very, very excited to watch this game. I enjoy watching Sid probably more than any player in the NHL, and even these low-scoring games, they bore some people, but I just absolutely love them, and I like the way the Canadians are trying to battle the Penguins. They just don't have the skill to do it, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Sean Bird says Habs is a play today. I'm certainly not taking the Pens. I knew I had the Pens -1 last game, and I was very confident in the Pens last game. This game could be touch and go. There's not going to be space. There's not going to be room. That's my expectation of this spot. Pens, Habs, Babano, take it away.
Yeah, I think we need the days of this Pittsburgh team being an offensive juggernaut. They look like they're days of old. They're not days of right now. All right, Pittsburgh before the hiatus, Jimmy, they were held to 2 goals or fewer in 8 of their last 11 games before the hiatus. Like, this was not a team lighting the lamp before the break. And if you look at them in the first 2 games of this series against Montreal, they're getting some chances, but they're not getting a ton of chances. And when they are getting the chances, they're missing the net, either hitting the post, they're shooting it wide. That offensive flow and chemistry, it's not there for Pittsburgh right now. That's why these 2 games have sailed under the total, and I'm in no rush to go anything but under from a total standpoint here in Game 3 as well. You've got, as you mentioned, Carey Price. It's time we start treating this resurgence seriously. This has been a average at best season for Carey Price. Everybody that's watched the Canadians this year knows that. It was a question of, could he find lightning in a bottle? Could he get back some of that stellar play from his best years in the NHL for a guy that's been in the league for over a decade? He has. This is vintage Carey Price right now. Matt Murray, we had questions about him. Could he get that Stanley Cup winning form back for the Penguins? He's played pretty well so far in this series for the Penguins. So I agree with you fully. It's under or pass for me from a totals perspective. I will be on the under for something in this game, probably just half unit. And I still think Pittsburgh's the better team. I'd have more confidence, Jimmy, in a Montreal upset, even though they've been right there in both games, mostly thanks to Price, if they could get something out of the 3rd or 4th line offensively. And they just can't. I mean, there's just not a lot of options for Claude Julien to turn to and count on to put the puck in the net. Once you get past Drouin and Gallagher and Tatar and some of those guys in the first 2 lines, there's a big drop-off after that. So I think the best way to go is just stick with we've been seeing in the first 2 games, and that's probably another lower scoring game.
In great breakdown, and Price was average all year, but he looks so locked in right now. And the Canucks have been in series like the Habs are against the Pens. When this is all said and done and the Pens beat the Habs fans should be happy. Your team is not good, and your Price is keeping your Price is keeping you in games. And we watched this at times when Luongo was keeping us in a game where we had no right to win a game. It's like, stop. The Penguins are all over the Habs. And I'm not going to I don't think this is the right situational spot, but the Price has been spectacular. Much love to him. And, but I'm on the under 4.5 plus 195. And Sean Bird, I just don't see a world where this Montreal Canadiens team can beat the Pens in a series. I just don't. I don't think that I live in one. Now, if Crosby goes down, I mean, there's injuries I can play, but Crosby's locked in right now. The Penguins were just coming at them in waves. It was Price being spectacular, and I am sure, but I believe in Murray. He steps up in bigger games, and it's not like there's wave after wave of rushes coming at him. Babano, a flaw of mine is being afraid of 6.5s. And we go to Oilers, Blackhawks, and one book's already taken it down to a 6 from the 6.5. But all we see are scoring. All we see are goals and shoddy goaltending and McDavid and just beautiful 80s hockey here. And yet this market's moving to the under. Oilers, Blackhawks. The Oilers open up at minus 140, a 15-cent move towards the Blackhawks. How are you handling this spot?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's one of my favorite sayings. And that's exactly how I feel here about Game 3. Look, I had the over in Game 1. It was a big bet. I really would like that over in game 1. Just to the series, rust, bad defense on both sides, it went over. Game 2 came right back with it for a unit. Cashed it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. Look, maybe you get a lower scoring game at some point as the series goes on. The pressure mounts a little bit. But to me, this is a fundamental thought process for me. Even if Jeremy Colleton, even if Dave Tippett, the two coaches, just pound it into their team's heads, defense, we got to be better there. I think there's too much skill, there's too much speed, and there's just too many wayward defenders on the blue line for both of these teams where you could just all of a sudden see 3-1, 3-2 games galore in this series. People are out of position. You got loose coverage in the defensive zone on both sides, free lanes to the net for some of these top players. Nobody losing coverage in the defensive zone. Giveaways, turnovers galore by both teams on the blue line. Shoddy penalty killing. It was Edmonton in game 1 with bad penalty killing, and it was Chicago in game 2 with bad penalty killing. That's not a recipe for games to stay under the total. 6.5. Can we get 9 goals or more in the first 2 games? I'm keeping it simple. I'm staying off the side. I liked Edmonton in game 2, bounce back spot. We're going to find out, Jimmy, a lot about the Oilers. Do you have killer instinct? Can you put your foot on the throat of the Chicago team? Don't read the press clippings. Don't hear about how much better you were in game 2. You're 1-1. Respect your opponent. There's a veteran, experienced, grizzled team with Taves, Kane, Saad, Crawford, Keith, guys that have won Stanley Cups. Can Edmonton have the maturity and savvy to play it like they did in game 2? We're going to find, because it's still a young group. I like Yamamoto. I like Nugent Hopkins. I like that they've got some depth now to support Connor and Leon finally. Athanasiou, Ennis, James Neal scored. My goodness, if they can get James Neal going, Edmonton, then they're really dangerous and have a lot more offensive depth. So it's just a very, very interesting game from a side perspective. I still think Edmonton's the better team. If I were to bet a side, I'd lay the money line with the Oilers, but I'm going to stick with just what's been working. Goals, over 6.5 for me.
So you think it's just sharps people trying to get cute and outthink the market? Like how could it be going under? I was sitting there looking at it today, this morning, and I was thinking about you because we've had these conversations so often where you've seen me scared of 6.5. So I was like, well, this is a time to get off that fear. And then I see the market pushing it under, and I'm like, what's going on?
They did in game 2. It opened 6.5 in game 2, and actually was 6 at puck drop everywhere. It was like 6 even money. Like, it was a huge move to the under in game 2. It dropped a half goal, and it was like 6 around plus 100, plus 10 or minus 105 to the over by game time. And of course, the game ended 6-3 and flew over the total. So I don't mind that. They can bet the unders all they want. I just don't see enough quality defense right now on either, especially Chicago, but both sides right now, to make me confident in an under. Like, we've had 9 goals in both games. And I think, like I said, even if the coaches drill defensive improvement into both of these teams' heads, you've got to be able to go out there and execute that improvement defensively. I'm not sure either of these teams are capable of doing that. It's been pond hockey for 2 straight games, and unless that drastically changes, I think you get 4-3 at worst tonight.
Agreed. I'm not going to make the move on it. I just this is the kind of late to the party thing that would just bother me too much and just throw me into a.
Yeah, I hear you. Because if you're not on the over in game 1 or game 2, you're gun shy jumping in now. I get that. Whereas I've been on the overs the first 2, so I feel like I'm just going with it until it's proven otherwise.
Without a doubt, and you got the house's money. But when I think of these two teams, if the Oilers take care of the Blackhawks tonight, I do not think it's because the Oilers have a killer instinct. I do not think the Oilers are a good hockey team. I think these are 2 bad hockey teams. And the only thing that would make me not – so I think the Oilers probably – I think Blackhawks are a bad hockey team. The only thing that if the Oilers get through this series, they'll have some momentum just because they had some meaningful games when I'm not sure if these first 4 seeds are playing meaningful games. As soon as I can fade the Oilers, I will. I will put money. I will add my unit size. I will invest.
Mucho dinero against Los Oilers, Jimmy is saying, in the next round if they advance.
But I don't know, like, what if they play the Stars? And what if they have momentum game 1? I might not start. Like, I would love it if the Oilers could win the first game of the next series and then fade them to lose the series. I think they're an easy team to play every second night, even with Connor McDavid.
Edmonton should thrive against a defensively weak team. And so that's why I think they would win this series, because Chicago's just absolutely abysmal, atrocious defensively. They've been that all year. But you get a team that plays physical, tight, checks you, doesn't give you much time and space, like Dallas, as you just said. That could be a series that gives Edmonton some problems, kind of like Columbus against Toronto. Why we're worried a little bit about that series from a Leafs perspective, even after they tied the series yesterday, because Columbus plays that defensive check, in your face style, and sometimes it's tough for those skilled and speed and depth laden offensive teams like the Leafs to handle a team like that.
Yeah, this is fun. It's so fun. So fun having Babano on our show, breaking down NBA and NHL. I am making no additions to my NHL card, leaving it the way it is. Predators -1 and Pens Habs under 4.5 and +195. Could you review your action, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go down the list. We got a half unit play each on Arizona, a +118 against Nashville, and Arizona-Nashville over 5 at -125. We've got 1 unit Boston-Tampa Bay over 5.5 -105. I will have half a unit on Dallas, a +120 against Colorado, half a unit on Montreal-Pittsburgh under 5.5 -140, and 1 unit on Edmonton-Chicago over 6.5 +100.
I absolutely love it. I'm going to pop in the chat Dennis Garcia's article on today's horse action. Those of you who want to add a couple bets over the last few months, you've seen the incredible success. Also, we have a big Saturday of horse racing action all day, celebrating the Travers Stakes. So there is that. And then I also want to pop up here our man Razor Sharp Picks video on the big
power play goal Panthers, 2-1 Florida, early third.
Who scored it? Because we had, was it Moss?
Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman.
Oh, okay, because Moss said Dadnov's going to score in the third. Watch. So funny. Okay, let me see if I can – where can I get it? Having trouble finding Razor Sharp. Maybe I'll just tweet it out. Stay, Florida stays. Dennis Garcia. Yeah, I really was curious to see if the Panthers had heart, because Coach Q has heart. What a treat it is to roll with you guys. The chat makes it so special. Sean Bird, I absolutely love this Habs Pens thing we've got going on, and it just makes watching the game so much more fun thinking about it. So I enjoy it very much. Like with Gokster and I yesterday on the Knuckleheads, I just enjoy it so much. All you guys, R2D2 Finland, Jimmy Gomez, Dennis Garcia, Vaughn Polo, Pierre Suartas, Brandon Lugo, Reese, Steve Priest. You got Moss back in action. Love seeing him. Ron Walsek. Ron Walsek has a quick question. Ian, have any MLB looks?
Look, my MLB has been bad. I know a lot since the restart. I know it's been good for a lot of you. Congrats. All you people doing great work in MLB. Keep it up. So I've been focusing more on NHL and NBA. That being said, I do like I know you mentioned Ryu's struggles. I get it. But I like that the Jays got the game under their belt yesterday, got the sea legs under them. I don't trust Newcomb at all for the Atlanta Braves, quite honestly. I think he's a guy, the Jays offense, which has kind of struggled, can still have success. Ryu, bounce back situation. I think it's not a bad matchup for him. I like the price. It was an underdog price, slight dogs, the Blue Jays. So I did kind of like Toronto a little bit. And I was on Colorado last night. I actually laid a much bigger price with Colorado Rockies than I normally do in baseball. But to me, Marquez versus Gossman was just quite the mismatch, and it proved to be just that. Yeah,
I had the first half full game. I'm waiting for my balloon to pop, but I'm just I didn't even want to talk about it because I know it's going to pop. Okay, NHL, you heard my
last thing I want to say, Jimmy, before we wrap this up. Just check out odds.com. I mean it. I mean, we've got so many great people there doing articles and videos and great content, picks, everything. I mean, Clint with MMA and UFC, he's been absolutely phenomenal with that. So many great razor sharp picks. I mean, you go on down the list, we've got great contributors there. Read my NBA stuff. I got an NBA article and video every day on odds.com. We've been doing good with them in the NBA. And again, you don't have to pay a damn thing for it. Just a couple minutes of your time. That's all you got to pay. Read the articles, watch the videos from not just me, but everybody on the site. Get some great information, hopefully some winning picks. Odds.com. We're growing this thing. It's growing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I did get the razor sharp. And I'll be popping up Babano's articles every day at the end of the show here. I'm going to pop it right here. There is Razor Sharp's article right there. And I've got here, I have your article from
yesterday. I'm sending it today, actually, very soon after we get off the air. So once that's done, yeah, you can post it for sure. It's going to be one of the games we talked about, and it's one of the games I'm on. So, and that's the thing. We're not pussyfooting around. This is my best stuff right here we're going with for these picks. We're giving you my best plays with these articles and videos every day. So check them out. It's worth it.
Yes, Can Ask Cat Pete is coming soon. Alex Smith in the house. What a great capper he is. And he put that over 1.5 third period up on the screen.
I would have too, because I've absolutely convinced myself every elimination game, bet third period over, because things have got to open up. And look at it, it's already cashed. 2 Florida goals. It's now 3. But I was on the air. I couldn't get it in. That's all right. We'll get the next one. Next elimination game, I'll be on that. Every elimination game, guys, third period overs or a live over after the second intermission. I'm telling you, that will be profitable.
I and Michael Evelyn agreeing. I'm not going to double up on the Magic game. It's just, I'm not. So I'm just taking Magic full game. I'm just going to take Magic full game. So that's with Thunder plus 5.5. DeRozan over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I'm not going to take Ish Smith over, although I like it. But I'm going to take Ja over points, rebounds, assists, 34.5. There we go. Irie Soul. It is odds.com. Odds.com. Here, I'll put it right here. Please check it out. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. All these great cappers together, and we'll not ask you to do one thing, not 1 cent, nothing. Just cap with us and help us defeat the juice. That's all we need. We've gone over NHL and baseball one more time just before we put a bow on this. I'm on the Orioles game 1. And that's my only look on the doubleheader. I'm on the first 5 under 4.5 Mets Nationals. I haven't bet it yet. I have bet the Rays first 5 in full game -0.5 and -1. It's going against all the trends, and I don't care. Yeah, we did, Vipe. We did talk about the Avs game. I'm very uncomfortable with the first that opening for the top 4 seeds. It was more Babano's breakdown. The Twins -1. I guess I'm supposed to be scared. But I'm just going to go back to that well. Jays, Braves, I'm off. Reds, Indians, I'm off. Cubs, first 5 -0.5, I'm on. Brewers, White Sox, I'm off. And then I feel like John Gray is just pitching very strong right now. And there were times the Giants abused him because of when he was down and when he was falling apart, when he went down to the minors, he was abused by those Giants teams. So I'm going to put a line through how hard he's being hit. And that may be a mistake, but I'm going to take the Rockies -1. And then this Astros and over thing, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to cut that. I don't know what Robbie Ray's doing. I'm just going to cut that. And then that's my action for today. That's all of it right there. Big thanks to our Babano. I'm going to put his Twitter handle here in the chat. Go follow him if you don't already. Brian Warner says it's my money and I'll lose if I want to. Hey, Brian Warner, I'm winning. We're rolling nice right now.
What is that, a little Leslie Gore, little reference there? It's my money, and I'll lose if I want to, lose if I want to, lose if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you.
I was hoping we'd get a song from our Babano. Babano, can you let us out of here, my man? And thank you so much. Great job.
It's going to be fun to be back with you reunited, and it feels so good once a week on this show. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Jimmy, good luck. Everybody in the chat, fam, good luck. And as always, Leche, Elmo's Bookmaker!